But when I was a little boy, my grandma Wright lived with us, And I remember I used to always go sneak in the room with her at night, I'd sneak in there and crawl up into bed with her. And I'd say, Grandma, tell me about school. And Grandma, she'd tell me all about English and math and history and science. And she'd tell me about recess, And sometimes she'd say, William, now when you get to go into school, one of these days you're going to like girls. I said, no, I won't, Grandma. I promise I won't like girls. But, Grandma was so special. And that was our time together, a lot when I would go in there and talk with her. But the talk around the breakfast table one morning was, Grandma dreamed about heaven last night. And, they never would tell me what she saw. I guess because I was a little boy, they thought it might scare me or something. But about 20 years later, I was praying and spending time with the Lord, and He spoke to my heart. He said, I want you to write a song about Grandma's dream. And real quickly, the words began to flow, and I wrote a verse and a chorus down to this next song, and I went and sang it to my mom. I said, Mom, is this anything like Grandma saw? And as I sang it to her, my mother began to cry. She said, Son, that is exactly what your grandmother said she saw. And I knew the Lord had blessed me with something special. I wanted to share it with everybody I could, but how many of you know a good Southern gospel song needs at least 2 verses? I had the whole story told with a verse and a chorus, and I thought, Lord, what am I going to do? And I happened to think, the Lord said, why don't you write about your other grandmother? And my other grandmother, my grandmother Guy, she had Alzheimer's disease. And it got to the point where she's like a little baby again. She'd lay there in her bed, and Angel, she wouldn't communicate with us, and she couldn't communicate with us. We couldn't communicate with her. And I was looking at her one day, and she lay there, and I thought, she has got to feel so alone. And the Lord showed me a verse of scripture in the Bible. It simply said, I'll never leave you, and I'll never forsake you. But I'll be with you to the ends of the earth. And I realized that day, though I couldn't communicate with my grandmother, the Lord was still blessing her in a very special way. I hope this song will bless you and your family. It's entitled Grandma's Dream.
She raised up in her bed. Then I did not understand, but this is what she said. I've seen flowers, a crystal river. Great white throne. I've heard angels sing praises to the King, and I've heard Jesus say, my child, you're welcome home.
Now I have another grandma. She lies there in her home. She doesn't speak or really understand. She seems so all alone. But I know the Lord still blesses her in a special way. saved. And I believe we would.